Sure, we'll cover histology, and histology is the study of tissues, and tissue is the description of groups of a group of cells that are found together in the body. And if you look at the cells, they share, if you look at a specific tissue, they share a common morphology, they share a similar function, and they're arranged in a specific pattern. And that's how we identify the tissue. So normally tissues of the same type uh, share a common embryonic origin. Okay, so there are so many different types of tissues in the body, but there are four basic categories of tissues: epithelium, muscle tissue, nervous tissue, and connective tissue. Um, I'm going to tell you how to use anatomy and physiology revealed to study tissues. And the first type of tissue that we're going to look at is epithelial tissue. When we think of epithelial tissue, understand that any epithelium will share four general characteristics. Firstly, they are really tiny cells tightly packed together. Okay, and one side of the cell always faces an apical or a lumen, that is an open surface. So the top of the cell is considered the luminal surface if it faces the lumen. Apex or apical surface means the top. So a luminal surface can also be called the apical surface. So if you look at epithelial tissue, all of them are avascular, meaning they do not have any blood supply. And the bottom of the epithelium is considered the basal surface or the basement membrane. So first we are going to focus on the four examples of epithelium. There are a lot more than these, but we're just going to focus on these four. First one is the simple squamous epithelium. Simple as in a single layer. Squamous refers to squished cells that are tightly packed together. And when I say epithelium, you have to understand immediately that they share these four common characteristics. Okay, similarly, simple cuboidal means simple, a single layer of cell that are cuboidal in shape, and it's an epithelial tissue. And simple columnar epithelium, those are a single layer of column shaped cells, and stratified squamous epithelium. So these are the four basic types, and along with one or two others that we will be looking at. This is a handout that is present in your Blackboard folder, so you might want to fill this up as we go through the different types of epithelium. So the first epithelium is simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium is a single layer of epithelial tissue, and everything highlighted in blue over here is simple squamous epithelium. You can see that these cells are tightly packed together. They are really skinny, squished cells. They look like raviolis tightly packed together, and they are avascular, meaning they do not have any blood supply. All these cells have a centralized nucleus. All these dark stained structures are the nucleus. And they all have cell membrane like any other cell. Okay, so this picture is from Anatomy and Physiology Revealed. If you look at your Blackboard course, you click on, let me just drag it right over here. If you go to online assignments and you click on McGraw-Hill Library, it will take you to McGraw-Hill Connect. Okay, it'll take you to McGraw-Hill Connect, but your page would look slightly different. So I'm going to show you how your page would look like. Yeah, this is what you should be able to see. And if you scroll down to the left, you should see Anatomy and Physiology Revealed. If you click on A&P Revealed, it will take you to another window which looks like this. So to study histology, you're going to select a module. select tissues and make sure the microscope is selected, and then you can select a topic. So the first tissue we are looking at is simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium is present in region where you need quick absorption and quick secretion. So all membranes, all lumens and ducts are composed of some type of epithelium. But the simple squamous epithelium that you see over here, so if you want to select simple squamous epithelium, click on the term and it will highlight the epithelium for you in blue. So all simple squamous epithelium are flat and squished, and they're very, very thin, so they serve a purpose, right? So simple squamous epithelium are so thin so they easily absorb stuff to diffuse across if they are small enough. So their main function is to absorb, allow diffusion, and they're also present in serous membranes of serous structures of the body. So if you click on this eye over here, you will be able to look at the locations of the epithelium and the functions of the epithelium. So one of the main regions where you find simple squamous epithelium is in the alveoli of the lung. If you look at alveoli of the lung, I'm going to Google it for you really quick. Alveoli of the lung, if you look at histology, this is what the alveoli of the lung looks like. So that's the alveoli of the lung. So, well, it's not the image I wanted to yeah, that's a better image. Okay, so if you look at the alveoli, you see these hollow spaces. Those are the alveolar sacs that are filled with air. Okay, this is the air space. It's a terminal bronchiole, respiratory bronchiole, and the alveolar duct. So deeper structures of the lung look like these. If you look at the structures, they basically look like clusters of grapes, except for these clusters of grapes are empty and just filled with air. Now, in patients with pneumonia, the air ducts or alveolar sacs, they get filled with fluid, which makes it difficult for them to breathe. So, how does structure define function? These tissues are really thin. They're really, really thin, right? So they allow quick diffusion of gases across the membrane. Just imagine if this was thicker, your gas exchange in the lungs would not be very efficient. Okay, you want to absorb, so you want to exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen really quickly in order to breathe properly, right? So the main functions of simple squamous epithelium is that they can help easy diffusion. And they can be found in structures like the alveoli of the lung, the kidney tubules, endothelium, meaning the blood vessels and lymphatic vessels. Mesothelium refers to the serous membranes of and linings of the body cavity. Okay. So the next epithelium that you can see in this image is simple cuboidal epithelium. So you can select simple cuboidal epithelium. Simple cuboidal epithelium lines cavities, ducts, and tubules. It lines cavities, ducts, and tubules. So this type of epithelium is normally arranged in an oval pattern if you look at the ducts and glands and tubules. So if you look at your lab handout and scroll down, these are cuboidal epithelium. Right, you see that they're arranged in an oval pattern, and you see an empty space over here. So this empty space over here is the lumen. So this surface of the cell facing the lumen becomes the luminal surface. Okay, so over here this becomes the luminal surface. Okay, and this region in blue becomes the basement membrane or the basal surface. Okay, everything stained in dark is the nucleus of the epithelium. Okay, so we can say that cuboidal epithelium are cuboidal in shape, whereas simple squamous epithelium look really flat and squished. Okay, keep in mind structure always define function. For example, these cells are flat and thin to allow quick exchange of gases. Remember, these are really, really thin. Okay, and the cuboidal epithelium a lot of times are present in ducts and tubules, and they prevent the underlying structure from abrasion. And over here, let's see this picture over here. This picture over here shows the thyroid follicles of the thyroid gland, right? So these regions of the thyroid follicle in the center is considered the lumen of the thyroid follicle. So this surface on the inside becomes the luminal or apical surface. This region in red at the bottom of the cell becomes the basal surface, Okay, so the simple cuboidal epithelium are slightly thicker, so they're better at preventing the underlying organ from abrasion. They line tubules, ducts, and cavities. So you find them in the thyroid gland, you'll find them in the lumen of the kidney, etc. Now, in the kidney, you will also find, in the kidney, you'll also find simple cuboidal epithelium which contain a brush border or microvilli, meaning in the kidney you might find tiny bristle-like structures, because what's going on in the kidney? The kidney constantly absorbs substances from the filtrate. Okay, because there's a lot of reabsorption going on in the kidney tubule. You don't excrete everything that's filtered out in the nephron. Okay, so if you want to select the simple cuboidal epithelium over here, select the epithelial itself, and then you can see where the lumen is, so you can use this software to study for your tests. Okay, what are the functions? You can look at the functions over here. The simple cuboidal epithelium provide a thick layer of protection from abrasion and foreign particles. So they prevent the underlying tissue from invading, they prevent the bacteria from invading the underlying tissue, and they prevent excess loss of water. Whereas simple squamous epithelium are really thin, so they allow materials to pass through too quickly, too easily. In kidney, you don't want that. You want to make sure things take their time before they are absorbed. Okay, relatively, the process is slower in kidney than the rate of gas exchange in the lungs. Okay, now the next type of epithelium in here is, where did it go? Simple columnar epithelium. First, we are going to look at non-ciliated simple columnar epithelium. As the name suggests, simple columnar epithelium are really long cells with a basement membrane. So these cells are columnar cells. So all these cells are columnar cells, and this one in blue just highlights one of the cells. Okay, and this tissue is from the lumen of the jejunum. So what's going on in the jejunum? Jejunum is the part of the small intestine, and absorption of nutrients majorly occurs in the small intestine. So any place you see absorption of nutrients, you'll find a whole lot of microvilli, which is also known as brush border. Microvilli are finger-like projection that increase the surface area for absorption. Okay, a special characteristic of columnar epithelium is the presence of these cells known as goblet cells. Okay, known as goblet cells.